You so crazy? 3 words that define a generation of comedy. From the housing projects of Maryland to Hollywood's biggest stages, Martin Lawrence didn't just make us laugh. He became a cultural phenomenon. But behind the laughter was a journey filled with triumph, controversy, and personal struggles that nearly ended his career before it reached its peak. This is the story of Martin Lawrence, comedian, actor, and one of the most influential black entertainers of the 1990s. Martin Fitzgerald Lawrence was born on April 16, 1965, in Frankfurt, West Germany, where his father was stationed with the U.S. military. But his real story begins in Landover, Maryland, where his family moved when Martin was just 7 years old. Growing up in Washington, D.C. suburbs wasn't easy. Martin's father left the family when he was 8, leaving his mother, Clora, to raise 6 children on her own. Money was tight, but Clora worked multiple jobs to keep the family afloat while instilling strong values in her children. Even as a child, Martin was the class clown, using humor to deflect from the pain of his father's absence and their financial struggles. At Friendly High School in Maryland, he discovered that making people laugh wasn't just a coping mechanism, it was his calling. After high school, Martin moved to New York City with dreams of making it in comedy. He performed at open mic nights in small clubs, honing his craft and developing the high-energy, physical comedy style that would make him famous. His big break came in 1987 when he was cast in What's Happening Now, the sequel to the popular 1970s sitcom What's Happening. Martin played Maurice Warfield, a fast-talking hustler who brought street credibility to the show. While the show only lasted 3 seasons, it gave Martin valuable experience in front of cameras and introduced him to television audiences. But more importantly, it connected him to the world of black entertainment that was exploding in the late 1980s. 1990 brought Martin's movie debut in House Party, the low-budget comedy that became a surprise hit. Starring alongside Kid and Play, Martin played Bilal, a loudmouth partygoer who stole every scene he was in. The film grossed over $26 million on a $2.5 million budget and launched the careers of several black entertainers. For Martin, it proved he could transition from television to film while showcasing his improvisational skills and natural comedic timing. House Party wasn't just a movie, it was a cultural moment that captured the energy of early 90s hip-hop culture, and Martin was right at the center of it. While building his acting resume, Martin never abandoned his first love, stand-up comedy. His 1992 HBO special, You So Crazy, catapulted him to comedic superstardom. Raw, unfiltered, and hilariously observational, Martin's comedy tackled everything from relationships to racial dynamics with a fearless honesty that audiences couldn't get enough of. His impressions of women, his physical comedy, and his ability to find humor in everyday black experiences made him a sensation. The special was so popular that it was later released as a concert film, grossing over $18 million. And proving that Martin could sell tickets based on his comedy alone. But television was calling, and Martin was about to create something that would define 1990s black comedy. On August 27, 1992, Martin premiered on Fox, and television comedy was never the same. Martin didn't just star in the show, he created it, executive produced it, and played multiple characters, including the unforgettable Shanae Jenkins, Momma Payne, and Otis, the security guard. Set in Detroit, the show followed Martin Payne, a radio DJ navigating life with his girlfriend Gina Waters, played by Tisha Campbell Martin, and his best friends Tommy and Cole. The chemistry was electric, the writing was sharp, and Martin's ability to disappear into different characters was nothing short of genius. The show was a massive success for Fox, consistently ranking in the top 20 and becoming appointment television for black audiences across America. Martin's physical comedy, his impressions, and his rapid-fire delivery created countless quotable moments that are still referenced today.
I'm a man, Gina. I'm a be all right. This is childish. I want you out. I don't even know why you're still here. Step! Step!
At its peak, Martin was drawing over 10 million viewers per episode and generating millions in advertising revenue for Fox. Martin Lawrence had become one of the highest paid black actors on television, earning a reported $6 million per season. But success came with pressure, and by the show's 4th season, cracks were beginning to show. Martin's behavior on set became increasingly erratic and unpredictable. Cast members later described a toxic work environment where Martin's mood swings and outbursts became the norm. The breaking point came in 1996 when Tisha Campbell Martin filed a lawsuit against Martin and the show's producers, alleging sexual harassment in a hostile work environment. The lawsuit claimed that Martin had made inappropriate comments and created an atmosphere that made it impossible for her to work on set. Campbell Martin's allegations were detailed and disturbing. She claimed Martin had made sexual advances, used cruel language towards her, and created such a hostile environment that she feared for her safety. The lawsuit sought monetary damages and an injunction to prevent further harassment. Martin denied all allegations, but the damage was done. The show's 5th season was forced to film Martin and Tisha separately, using body doubles and careful editing to create scenes where they appeared together. The magic that had made Martin special was gone. In May 1997, Fox announced that Martin would end after its 5th season. One of the most successful black sitcoms in television history was over, killed by behind-the-scenes drama that overshadowed its cultural impact. Just as his television career was imploding, Martin faced an even greater crisis. In August 1996, while filming Nothing to Lose, Martin collapsed on set and fell into a 3-day coma. Doctors initially couldn't determine what had happened. Some reports suggested heat exhaustion, others pointed to dehydration, but Martin later revealed the truth. He had suffered a stroke at just 31 years old. The stroke was a wake-up call. Martin was forced to confront his mortality and reassess his priorities. The young comedian who had seemed invincible was suddenly facing the reality that his health and career were both in jeopardy. Recovery was slow and uncertain. Martin had to relearn basic motor functions and speech patterns. For someone whose career depended on physical comedy and rapid-fire delivery, the stroke threatened to end everything he had worked for. Martin's salvation came from an unexpected source: action movies. In 1995, just before his health crisis, he had filmed Bad Boys alongside Will Smith. The buddy cop comedy was a massive hit, grossing over $141 million worldwide, and proving that Martin could carry a major motion picture. Playing Detective Marcus Burnett opposite Will Smith's Mike Lowrey, Martin brought his comedic sensibilities to the action genre with perfect results. His neurotic family man provided the perfect contrast to Smith's smooth bachelor, creating one of the most beloved partnerships in action comedy. The success of Bad Boys proved that Martin's movie career could survive the collapse of his TV show and his health problems. Suddenly, Hollywood was interested in Martin Lawrence, the movie star, not just Martin Lawrence, the troubled comedian. 2003's Bad Boys 2 cemented Martin's status as a bankable action star. The film grossed over $273 million worldwide, proving that Lawrence Smith's partnership was box office gold. Between the Bad Boys films, Martin appeared in a string of successful comedies, including Nothing to Lose with Tim Robbins, Life with Eddie Murphy, and Blue Streak. While not all were critical successes, they demonstrated Martin's drawing power and his ability to bounce back from adversity. His return to stand-up was equally successful. Martin's post-stroke comedy was more mature, more reflective, but still hilariously observational. He proved that his comedic voice had evolved, not disappeared. Today, Martin Lawrence is in a very different place than the young comedian that took television by storm in the 1990s. He's married to Roberta Moratfar, his 3rd wife, and is a devoted father to his 3 daughters, Jasmine, Ayana, and Amara. Martin has spoken openly about how fatherhood changed his perspective on life and comedy. The man who once lived for the spotlight now values privacy and family time above all else. In 2020, Bad Boys for Life proved that Martin still had box office appeal, grossing over $426 million worldwide. At 55, he showed he could still bring the comedy and action that made him famous. Martin Lawrence's journey from housing projects to Hollywood stardom isn't just a success story, it's a story of resilience, redemption, and the power of laughter to heal. The Martin Show, despite its controversial end, remains a cultural touchstone that influenced amongst a generation of black comedians and writers. Martin's characters, catchphrases, and comedic timing are still referenced and celebrated today. His health struggles taught him valuable lessons about balance and priorities. The man who once pushed himself to the breaking point learned to value his well-being over his career, a lesson that ultimately saved both. From the class clown in Maryland to the comedy king of the 1990s, Martin Lawrence proved that laughter really can be the best medicine for both audiences and for the comedian himself. He showed us that even when life gets crazy, sometimes all you can do is laugh. And in a world that often feels heavy, Martin Lawrence reminded us that humor isn't just entertainment, it's survival. Martin Lawrence, comedian, actor, survivor. His story reminds us that the best comedy comes from the deepest pain, and that sometimes the biggest comeback starts with the hardest fall.